Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today will be the first video in a two-part series discussing a comparison of several different silencers. Two of them will be 5.56 and 6mm, one of them will be a 30 cal can, and the rest of them will be dedicated 5.56 silencers. Today's topic is really going to be the back pressure that each one of the silencers puts back into the gun. The way we did the testing was we used a single host. It's a 12.5 inch barrel with a mid-length gas system, direct impingement upper, and it has a rifle speed gas block. Because of the rifle speed gas block, that gives us the ability to some degree to determine a percentage of how much back pressure it is putting back into the gun or not putting into the gun. For the purpose of the muzzle devices, I ended up having to use 3. For all of the hub silencers, I used a Reardon rear end and with the Reardon muzzle device. For the Griffin armament, I used the dual lock muzzle device, and then for the two cans that use the 1x16 left-hand Acme threads, which is the CGS size 6 and the Cobalt Kinetic Scrambler, I used the muzzle device, the 1x16 left-hand Acme thread. Now let's get into what we have here on the table. 6 of the 7 are going to be marketed as having reduced back pressure. The one that I'm using that is not, is a traditional baffle silencer, is a polonium K. I actually used it to give us a baseline for as a high back pressure can compared to silencers that are supposed to have lower back pressure on the host. The first one is the Silencer Co. Velos K. It is constructed of a 3D printed core with stainless steel. It is a 5.56 dedicated silencer, and it's full auto rated with no barrel length restrictions. The second one is the CGS size 6. It is 3D printed completely out of 7/18 Inconel. This has the option of either having a traditional end cap or a flow-through end cap. I have it set up, the way I have it configured here, and also that I had it configured for the test, is using the flow-through end cap. It's also full auto rated with no barrel length restrictions. The fourth one on the list is the Silencer Co. Velos 5.56 low back pressure, the full size. Just like its K counterpart, it has a 3D printed Inconel core with stainless steel. It is full auto rated, and also, nor does it have any barrel length restrictions. The fifth one on the list is the Cobalt Kinetics Scrambler. This one here, they make one in titanium and they make one in Inconel. This is the one that's made from 7/18 Inconel. It is fully 3D printed. It is full auto rated, and there's no barrel length restrictions. It also is one of the two that is also a 6mm can. And I didn't mention it along with the polonium. The polonium K is also rated for 6mm. The sixth one we're going to talk about is the b&tsrbs full size. This is also 3D printed 100% out of 7/18 Inconel. It is full auto rated with no barrel length restrictions. And the seventh is going to be the Griffin Armament Dual Lock 7. Although this is not a 5.56 dedicated can, it's a 30 cal can, but it is marketed as having reduced back pressure and being manufactured with that type of technology. And it does pair well with a 5.56 direct impingement upper. So that's the reason I threw it in here. Getting into the test, How we conducted the test using the rifle speed gas block. There's 12 settings on the gas block itself, 1 being closed, 12 being fully open. As far as shooting unsuppressed and also using a 5.56 Lake City M193 ammo was used completely throughout the test. A setting 5 is where it'll work without a suppressor, and when we turn it down to a 4, we fail to get bolt lock. So for the purpose of the test, when I say failure, that means when you fire and go to an empty mag, there's not enough pressure on the gun to induce a bolt lock on the empty mag. So that's what I mean when I say failure. So unsuppressed is at a 4. Starting with the polonium K, that's the one we use for our baseline. The polonium had failure at setting 1, so almost completely closed off. That's where we had to go to get to where we could not induce bolt lock on an empty mag. So that kind of gives you an idea when we talk about the other ones of how much back pressure they're actually putting on the host. The Silencer Co. Bellows K, we got failure on it at 4. So just as if it was non-suppressed. So that shows it is putting very little back pressure onto the host. The size 6 also found failure at setting 4, just like the non-suppress, just like there was not a suppressor on it. So it shows with this vented end cap, it is putting very little back pressure on the host. The Silencer Co. full-size bellows, we found failure at 3, at number 3. So a little bit more back pressure than these two, but still not near as much as the polonium K. The Cobalt Scrambler, we found failure again, as if just like the full-size bellows at number 3. So on setting 3, it would not lock to the rear. So again, a little bit more, it's putting a little bit more back pressure onto the host rather than the size 6 and the Bellows K, but not near as much as the polonium K. Okay, then we get to the b&tsrbs. We found failure with the b&t on setting 2, so just 1 above the polonium K. So definitely, it has reduced back pressure, but it has more than the other 4 options. And then we get to the Griffin Armament Dual Lock 7. We found failure on it. I believe it was also 2, yes. So both on the B&T and the Dual Lock 7, setting 2 is where we found failure and we could not achieve bolt lock. Now remember, this one's also a 30 cal silencer, so it's a little bit more gas is going to escape merely because of the bigger bore as well. Okay, so what does that tell us? Well, that tells us that definitely all 6 of the ones we have here that are marketed as having reduced back pressure onto the host, they almost definitely do. Now there are different degrees. The 2 doing the best far as, and also remember this is on a 12.5 inch mid-length upper. You use a 16 inch with the mid-length or a 16 with the carbine, you may get some different results. These results are not absolute, but it is a unit of measurement, because of the setting of the gas block, and it reduces or opens up gas to the gun. So it does give us an idea of how much back pressure we're either getting on the host or not getting on the host. So the 2 that did the best was the size 6. Remember, with the vented end cap, you can put the traditional end cap on here and it acts more like a traditional silencer. That's what's real neat about this silencer, is the ability to just change the end cap and you have either or. The next 2 in line was the full-size bellows and the Cobalt Kinetics Scrambler. I apologize. just a little bit more back pressure if you look at the settings we use on the Rifle Speed gas block than the size 6 and the Bellows K. And then the ones that had the most back pressure, which were the same on the host, because we found the failure at setting 2 with both of them, is the b&tsrbs and the Griffin Dual Lock 7. Now, like I say, there's a little bit of variance in there. It's not going to be exactly. You can just tell by shooting the gun that the Griffin Dual Lock 7 definitely puts more back pressure on the host than the B&T does. But just because of the settings, there's a margin for. It's not exact, is what I'm trying to say. So it'll let enough gas come back. Just because we have the same setting doesn't mean it's the exact amount of back pressure. It just means that's where it's at to find the failure for not locking the bolt to the rear. So what does this mean to us as a consumer? Well, number one, what are you going to be using your silencer for? Me personally, I like reduced back pressure. It's for several reasons. And I do believe it's the way of the future. A couple of years ago, anything with flow through, which, like a Hux Works, they were known to not have a lot of back pressure, but they were also known to be extremely loud. That's not the case anymore. The technology this year has exploded, and there's several options out there now, newer ones, to where you're getting a good reduction in back pressure along with good sound. The one that I'm really impressed with, I like all of them. Everything on this table I like, or I wouldn't have purchased it. And I don't have buyer's remorse for any of them. But the one that I'm really impressed with is my newest one, and that is the Cobalt Kinetics Scrambler. For the size of this thing, I think it's 4 3/4 of an inch. It's, as far as the tone to the ear, the only one that did better is the Dual Lock 7. As far as, that's subjective to my hearing, right? I don't have any kind of meters, or, I don't have any kind of fancy equipment to measure that. That's just to my ear, and like I say, that's subjective. But what's not subjective is how much back pressure they have. So the reason I made this video, for a few of these on the table, like the Bellows and the Polonium K, there's a lot of information out there about them. But for the like the size 6, the Scrambler, the B&T, and the Dual Lock 7, there's not just a whole lot of information out there about them. So if the information could help someone in their purchasing journey in one of these, if it helps one person, it's definitely worth my time. Now, this will not be the last video. I also plan, hopefully next week, going to the range, and I'm going to shoot them and do the video, the sound, the best I can with my iPhone, right? Not the best microphone. So you're going to have to understand that I'm using my iPhone, but I will give you my opinion on it. And again, that's subjective. And it will be more off of the piercing of the ear. Just because one has a better tone does not mean it has lower decibels. One could have a lower decibel reading, but not have have a different type of tone, and it sounds harder on the ear. I'm also going to shoot them. I'm going to shoot them in 3 different places for the camera. I'm going to shoot at the muzzle or at the gun from 25 yards away and 50 yards away, just to kind of give you an idea on how it sounds. And again, I'm using the speaker on my iPhone, so it'll be what it is. But another test that I plan on doing is recording the flash, both with and without night vision. So I think I'll be able to get some good footage of that, and that will also be some helpful information. And again, for the sound testing and for the flash test, the video of the flash, I'm going to use the exact same ammo from the same lot of Lake City M193. Make sure I have talked about everything. Okay, folks, I won't waste any more of your time. If you have any questions about any of these, reach out to me. If I can answer them, I sure will. If I don't have the answer, I'll do the best of getting you an answer. So, you folks have a good day.